20 novos parágrafos coerentes em inglês com o texto a seguir. Lions News Fan Reports is back in full force, and today we find ourselves diving deep into a conversation that could ultimately define the future of the Detroit Lions defense. We are at a pivotal moment where decisions made now could reverberate for years to come. With the NFL Combine fast approaching and the draft rumors swirling around like never before, there's one pressing question on the minds of fans. Is the Detroit Lions defense about to undergo a seismic shift, or is this just another risky gamble that could undermine the team's long-term success? If you've been following the buzz, you know what we're talking about, the potential selection of UCLA's pass rusher, Oluwafemi, in the first round. But the question remains, is he the missing piece for the Lions defense, or is he simply too uncertain for the franchise to stake its future on? This decision is far from straightforward. Oluwafemi certainly boasts an impressive athletic profile. Standing 6 feet 2 inches and weighing 261 pounds, he has the physical traits that scouts dream of. His performance at the Senior Bowl only added fuel to the fire, showcasing moments of brilliance that caught the eyes of many NFL teams. It's enough to make anyone consider him as a first-round prospect. However, let's take a moment to look more closely at his production. With only 4.5 sacks in the 2024 season, the reality is that his stats don't exactly scream immediate impact. The Lions are in desperate need of a pass rusher who can contribute from day one. So the question is whether Oluwafemi, with his raw potential, can be that player. The dilemma for the Lions front office is clear. They need someone who can make an immediate impact. The NFC North is only getting tougher, with divisional rivals beefing up their defenses. The Lions cannot afford to wait for a project to develop while the rest of the league continues to improve. Oluwafemi's physical traits and flashes of brilliance are enticing, but can the Lions really afford to wait for him to find his stride? A team that is looking to take the next step needs a player who is ready to hit the ground running. And Oluwafemi's 4.5 sacks are hardly the type of production that makes you feel confident about immediate results. When evaluating this draft choice, the Lions front office must keep one thing in mind. They cannot be focused solely on the future. Yes, Oluwafemi could become a cornerstone for the defense in time, but what about now? We've seen Brad Holmes make bold, future-focused picks, such as Jahmyr Gibbs, but the pass rusher position is different. It's a vital part of the defense, and the Lions simply cannot afford to take chances here. The defensive line needs reinforcements. Now, not down the line. A raw prospect like Oluwafemi may have potential, but the Lions need players who can produce on day one, not after several years of development. But what if Oluwafemi doesn't turn out to be the answer? The edge rusher class in this draft is deep, and there are other players who could offer more immediate contributions. We know that there are solid prospects available, players who may not have the same raw physical tools as Oluwafemi, but who are more polished and ready to compete at the highest level. With so many options, it might make more sense for the Lions to wait for a more refined player later in the draft, rather than risk taking a player who is still learning the ropes. At the same time, there's an argument to be made for taking a long-term view. If the Lions truly believe in Oluwafemi's potential, they might see him as a future cornerstone who will pay dividends down the road. This would align with the philosophy of building a defense that is not just good now, but sustainable for the future. However, the question is whether the Lions can afford to make this kind of investment when their defense still has holes that need immediate filling. How long can they afford to wait for a player to develop while trying to compete for a division title? This is where things get tricky. The Lions need to balance both short-term success with long-term development. It's a tough line to walk, and the decision regarding Oluwafemi is crucial. Yes, he may have the tools to become a star, but how much longer can the Lions afford to be patient while other teams are getting better? The NFC North is a tough division, and every season counts. The Lions need a defense that can compete right now, not just in a few years. Meanwhile, Aiden Hutchinson's situation also looms large. Hutchinson is the shining star of the Lions defense, and his future is intricately tied to his upcoming contract extension. He has the talent to be one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, but keeping him in Detroit comes at a hefty price. The Lions will need to allocate significant resources to retain Hutchinson, which could limit their ability to add more talent to the roster. Can they afford to invest in Hutchinson without sacrificing other needs on defense? Hutchinson's potential is undeniable, but the truth is that no player can carry an entire defense by themselves. If the Lions place too much of their hope on Hutchinson, they risk creating a one-dimensional defense that relies too heavily on one player. The Lions need more than just Hutchinson to be successful. They need a well-rounded defense with multiple playmakers. The question is whether the team can surround Hutchinson with the right pieces to form a truly dominant defensive unit. So, as we approach the draft, the big question for the Lions becomes, do they double down on Hutchinson and build around him? Or do they take a risk and invest in a young, unproven pass rusher like Oluwafemi? Both paths have their merits, but the decision could have long-term implications for the franchise. the Lions need to find a way to balance their investment in Hutchinson, while also strengthening the rest of the defense. There's a lot at stake for the Lions as they enter the draft. And this isn't just about Oladejo or Hutchinson, it's about the future of the entire defense. The team needs to make decisions that will set them up for long-term success. But they can't lose sight of the immediate needs either. The Lions have to find a way to build a defense that can compete with the best in the NFC, and that starts with making the right picks now. When looking at the draft strategy, there's a case to be made for taking a more balanced approach. Rather than putting all their chips on one player, whether it's Hutchinson or Oladejo, the Lions could look to bring in a mix of established talent and young potential. This would allow them to address their immediate needs, while also building for the future. If the Lions are able to strike the right balance, they could be in a position to make a real run at the playoffs in the coming seasons. The debate over Oladejo's potential is an interesting one, but it's just one part of a larger conversation about the direction of the franchise. The Lions have the talent to be competitive in the NFC North, but they need to continue building a defense that can compete at the highest level. Whether it's Oladejo, Hutchinson, or another player entirely, the key is ensuring that the Lions make decisions that will put them in the best position to succeed, both now and in the future. Ultimately, it's not just about the players, it's about the team's vision. The Lions are at a crucial crossroads, and how they navigate this moment will determine whether they rise to the top of the NFC North or fall behind. The draft decisions they make will have lasting consequences, and the pressure is on to get it right. As Lions fans, we can only hope that the front office makes the smart moves that will set the team up for success in the years to come. So, Lions fans, what do you think? Should the Lions take a chance on Oladejo's potential, or should they prioritize immediate help on the defensive line? And with Hutchinson's contract looming, how should the Lions manage their cap space and roster to build a defense that can compete for years to come? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. Together, we can help shape the future of the Detroit Lions. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the Lions News Fan Report for all the latest news and updates. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat, and share the channel with fellow Lions fans who are just as passionate about the team as you are. Let's keep the Lions fire burning bright.